It's the final week you have to hear us remind you about the Kinda Funny membership drive. All August long, we've been asking you to show your appreciation for the content we make by tossing us $10 on patreon.com/kindafunny or youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Y'all have shown up and we can't thank you enough. We've gotten Gregways on the weekends, weekly happy hours for all, and even the ability to be part of the shows. Thank you so much. And if you haven't pitched in, please consider doing so before the end of the month.
Today, in the nerdy news you need to know about, Metal Gear Solid Delta previews are in. Star Wars Outlaws reviews are in. And Tim's back from his honeymoon. In. We'll have all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Monday, August 26th, 2024. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Forbes 30 Under 30, a.k.a. the second best baby blues in San Francisco, a.k.a. the married one, at Tim Geddes.
Let's Tim host. I am back. It feels good. I was telling you, thrilled to be on shows today. I'm on 3 of them. I'm on this. I'm on GAMESCAST. I'm on KF Podcast later. Very excited to talk to you all. It's been a long time. Not excited to look at my emails, to deal with my emails.
What is the number at?
Oh, that's not even accurate at all. 3,804 unread emails. But that's
I know.
You know how it goes.
But yeah, you don't clear your inbox. Huh?
I try my best. And then it just overwhelms.
Just do the star system.
See, I have a system. That's the thing. It's just the system doesn't really count for unread. I don't really give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but
I move important ones into folders.
I just archive so quickly. You know what I mean? So all the press releases I don't care about, just I star the thing I need, select all unstarred, archive.
It's a lot. Here we go. J-Man, select all, delete. The amount of times I've dreamt of just doing that, just starting fresh.
Who cares?
Not caring. But then there's the amount of times that I have done that in the past, and I'm like, I need that person's email. I don't know what it is.
Archive them all. It's Google. You don't delete anything.
Well, that's the problem. I do use my Google for a lot of other things. You know what I mean? The porn, Greg Miller. The porn.
You lost me on that one.
God.
Use the incognito tab. We're all set.
Terabytes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, well, yeah.
How was Mexico, Tim?
Oh, my God. What an adventure. What a trip. Honeymoon adventures is what they call them. I'll tell you about that later.
That's the Kinda Funny podcast, maybe?
Definitely.
That's the Kinda Funny podcast?
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah,
listen live. You want to listen to this one live as we record this afternoon.
I don't know how many details we get into about some things, but what I will say, Greg, is I went to a local retro game shop or store. Which one am I going to go with? You know what I mean? I'm going to go store down in Mexico City. And me and G try to make it a thing that any time we travel, we go to a little retro game shop somewhere.
Cute. I do it with comic shops.
And yeah, exactly. Like, and a lot of the times they're the same. You know what I mean? There's comics here and games there.
Yeah.
But we try to go, and I don't want to buy stuff that I don't need, which is hilarious because I don't need anything. But I always am like, if there's something I see that I'm like, oh, this triggers something in me that I'm like, I should get this or whatever. I like getting something to remember the trip by, you know? And we were walking around, and Bear, this is on my Twitter if you can pull it up. Sorry,
I already have it prepped. Buddy.
Thank you. Should have gave the link. We were walking through, and it's a really, really tiny little shop. And behind this like case, there was like the only locked case that they had. Was all their more rare stuff. There was some of the older, like limited edition PSPs that I love to see. A lot of just like great classic. Like there's that PS1 Dragon Ball Z game, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on PlayStation 2. Like a bunch of games that I know. I'm like, oh, those have significant value. And then of course, I saw Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, complete in box.
Look at that.
Now, what's special about these, Greg, is they come with the little Pokeball.
I remember this is my first Pokemon.
This is the best Pokemon, undeniably. No one's ever questioned it, and no one ever will question it. We got the number 1 and 2 games. Fuck it. I'm gonna say it. And I'm looking at these. These things normally go for on the black market, as they call it, Greg. I don't know, whatever market they want to call it. The resale market. These things are going for $400 each. You know what I mean? Some of that. If you get lucky, you could probably get it for like $300 or so. I got each one of these for $150.
Look at you. Now
$300 total.
Flip them. Pay for the whole trip.
I'm keeping these forever. And like, you know, the box, not perfect condition, not whatever, but it has everything in it. People are going to be like, Tim, did you check that it's fake? Of course I checked to see if it's fake. Do I know with 100% certainty? Absolutely not. But I know enough. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos about how to decide what games are fake or real when it comes to DS and Game Boy and all that stuff.
We played mobile gamer bullshit for a long time.
We did, and I didn't do too well on that, but I'm pretty sure these are real. Okay. Anyways, what a freaking steal, Greg.
Yeah?
G keeps telling me, it's because the dollar's strong in Mexico. I'm like, I don't fully understand what you're saying, but I buy it. I totally buy it. And now I own Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
Congratulations.
Really excited.
Is the collection complete? Are you trying to get every Pokemon mint in box?
No. That would be crazy. And again, not mint in box, even just complete in box. I don't want to say I'm most of the way there because there's a lot of Pokemon games, but I have a lot of the newer ones. I think 3DS on, I have them all.
Okay.
But yeah, I definitely don't have the older ones. Over time, I'll probably get in there. But like these are the ones that these are my favorite. Like these are up there for my favorite game of all time. So
okay, fair enough. And then tell me about this shirt.
Oh, this shirt's amazing. I've been wearing it. I think you were just gone.
Okay.
But, I saw it on Instagram, and it looks exactly like Moose.
Oh, this isn't Moose.
This is not Moose.
Oh, I thought this was a custom shirt.
No. It just really looks like him.
It.
Looking all epic and shadows.
It does look great.
Nick thought it was a wolf, which is...
That's the whole point of it, right?
Yeah.
I think we should rip it off, honestly.
Yeah.
I think we should do our own
straight
Moose
up
shirt.
this, but it's just...
Well, no. We take a photo of Moose. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean?
Yeah,
Sean
yeah,
Finnegan's got nothing going on. Come take a photo of a dog. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Do the lighting thing. It's not that hard, I imagine. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Anyway, excited to talk about a whole bunch of things today, but I want to talk about video games. Greg.
Well, I'm glad you want to talk about video games, Tim, because this is Kind of Funny Games Daily, each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, Twitch, YouTube, and podcast services around the globe. We run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about live. If you like that, please pick up a Kind of Funny membership over on patreon.com/kindoffunny or youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. You can pick up a Kind of Funny membership. You can get good karma for supporting a small, independent local business. And of course, you can get all of our shows ad-free. The ability to watch us record our afternoon podcasts in private, like today's Kind of Funny podcast, where Tim will tell honeymoon adventures. I think you go in all the details you can without...
Oh, I'm 100% going to do that, but it's just, there's politics at play, Greg Miller. I forgot that you know what I'm talking about.
I know just... Give them...
Did I say the word honeymoon adventures to you?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah. And let's just say it doesn't involve him and Gia alone. We'll get back to it, though, in Kind of Funny podcast later on today. And then, of course, you'd also get Gregway each and every weekday for your listening/viewing pleasure. Today's is all about why I love video game reviews.
Ooh.
We're talking a little bit about how you open up, you don't know what you're going to get every morning.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect these Star Wars Outlaws reviews, I'll tell you that. But we'll talk about that later.
Quick.
We'll talk about that later. It's coming up in the show.
Fine.
It's coming up in the show. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Of course, we are an 11-person small business all about live talk shows. You should subscribe on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Today's programming is going to be pretty insane. After Kind of Funny Games Daily, you are getting our Star Wars Outlaws GAMESCAST review. You're excited because?
So excited. I'm so excited because normally I'm at Kind of Funny all the time. And I hear the scuttlebutt, whether it's the GamesCast Slack channel, kind of giving their thoughts on the games as they go, or just people talking in the office.
Sure.
A lot of the times when we're reviewing games, specifically big story-based, IP-based games, there's a lot of like silos, like little conversations where like two people that are further ahead will grab like Bless and Bear will like go scuttle off into the conference room or like just hide in the studio. Just
and then that mech with the anime girl. That's what they go talk about.
That's exactly what they're talking about. But like there's little conversations happening that you can either involve yourself in or stay away for spoiler reasons if you didn't get that far. This is the first time I have no idea what people's thoughts are on Star Wars Outlaws at all. And I know we're about to do the GamesCast later today, and I'm extremely excited to hear what y'all have to say. Because I saw the roundup. Can't wait to talk about it. But I'm surprised that you're surprised, because what's that even mean?
You'll find out. We'll talk a little bit, I'm sure, when we get to the review roundup today, but Barrett's full thoughts will come in the GamesCast right after this. And if that wasn't enough Star Wars Outlaws for you, right after that, we're streaming Star Wars Outlaws, Twitch and YouTube, so that'll be fun to jump into that. If you're a Kind of Funny member, of course, like I said, you can get today's Gregway when it goes up a little bit later, and of course, watch the Kind of Funny podcast get recorded this afternoon for honeymoon adventures. But that's not all that's happening this week, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs. This week, SnowBikeMike is taking over Washington, D.C. with Call of Duty. Yes, Mike's dream has come true. This Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, tune in to Kind of Funny Games on Twitch and YouTube to see Mike at Call of Duty Next, streaming the new Black Ops 6 multiplayer, zombies, and Warzone with 250 Call of Duty influencers and pros. He has made his dream happen. He is going to Washington, D.C. to do this.
And just in time for this trip, he made himself look like someone who may or may not have been somewhere on
Mike!
January 6th.
Yeah, this is his whole thing the other day. Yeah,
That's his whole thing.
That's his whole thing now.
Not now. He was going to go get a haircut, but rather than wear a hat like you would, he let his hair be bangs like this. I called him out immediately. We all called him out, obviously.
Yeah.
More importantly, Mike is storming the Capitol. If you want to go to the mall, the Capitol Mall, between the Lincoln Memorial and the Capitol, Mike is there on Tuesday night. Is that right? I forget what night he said. Go follow Mike on all the socials. You'll see it. But he is gathering people at
Storm the Capitol
at the mall. At the mall. He's not actually storming it, if you're listening, FBI, but he's meeting there, and that's just an
Like
interesting,
a drizzle. There's a drizzle.
interesting place to choose to meet a whole bunch of kind of funny best friends. But go do that, and you can reenact the On Your Left thing. It'll be funny. Thank you to our Patreon producer, Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining. Today, we're brought to you by the Kind of Funny membership, but we'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 5 items on the Roper Report. A baker's dozen. I love that one. That's a good one. Who's that?
That was, let me triple check. I believe that was OMG, Alex J. Sandoval, OMG LX.
You love to see it.
Totally forgot we're doing that. Thought that was Barrett. Thought that was weird.
Imagine my surprise when I came, because we made the idea, launched it while I was gone. So 2 weeks I came back and it happened. I was like, oh, right, that's amazing. I forgot that was going to happen. I think Alex J. Sandoval then, when I called that out last time, was like, I actually don't know where to send mine in. And we helped solve it, of course.
There we go.
By
Shout
telling him to
OMG
look
LX.
at the Patreon letter that came.
That was strong. That was powerful.
It was powerful. It was strong. I appreciate that a lot. Number 1 on the Roper Report. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater preview roundup. That's right, a whole bunch of people got to go play Snake Eater, the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, and we're ready to talk about it. Of course, if you're ready to talk about it, get me those super chats, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. You can super chat to be part of the show with your thoughts, opinions, and more. My question for you would be, are you in? Is this going to do it for you? Let's find out. We begin with Jordan Midler at VGC. Quote, "It's exactly what you'd want it to be," end quote.
We can end the show right there. That's all we needed to know. Hell yes. I trust Jordan, and I care a lot about this being right.
Yeah.
This is good, Greg.
I trusted Jordan up until his Outlaws review today, but we'll talk about that later. No, he starts his preview like that, and then I appreciate this next part. Those were the thoughts shared in unison between VGC and Giant Bomb's Dan Reichert after we locked eyes following 90 minutes with Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. We then jump through the article a little bit further. You should go read all these previews, of course. Quote, "This is one of my favorite titles as well. And since this game was already good to begin with, we didn't want to mess around with the original creative direction of the game," says Noriaki Akamura, a Konami veteran who serves as the remake's producer. Quote, "There are a lot of things that we didn't feel necessary to change," end quote. Our preview consisted of the first 90 minutes of the game. Before starting, we were asked to choose between 30 frames per second quality mode, which targeted a dynamic 4K resolution, and a performance mode, which renders at 1080, but will dynamically scale higher. We were also asked about which of the previous Metal Gear Solid titles we liked best. While we were told by a Konami representative that the functionality was not present in the demo, that choice, much like the equivalent choice in the 2004 version, will have consequences. We jump ahead again in the preview. There are 2 approaches that Konami could have taken here. Either they make what is essentially a shot-for-shot remake in terms of enemy placement, level size, sub-area size, and item positioning, or due to the greatly increased technical limitations, they could have made the opening level one continuous sequence, free of loading screens. Currently, it seems that Konami has chosen the former, as players who've ran through this mission dozens of times will be incredibly familiar territory. The big change, however, is in how the game plays. Jumping ahead. The new control scheme is the biggest reflection of this modernization. The game now controls like Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Snake's range of movement, isn't that? It just sounds so good.
It just sounds so fucking good, Greg.
Snake's range of movement is much larger. The speed with which you're able to switch through your weapons and items is much faster, and as a whole, the game is far more enjoyable to play. We jump over to Dan Reichert, who wrote this one for GameSpot.
And Dan Reichert, one of the biggest Metal Gear Solid fans in the world. And I know that's a big statement because there's a lot of fans out there. But Dan Reichert takes the shit seriously.
He does. After playing the entire Virtuous mission, parentheses, essentially the game's prologue, at a recent Konami event in London, I'm happy to report that all signs point to Delta being the Snake Eater remake that fans have waited for years. Unlike the polarizing Twin Snakes remake of the original Metal Gear Solid, which featured fully re-recorded VO and an egregious amount of quote-unquote artistic license, Delta seems far more interested in preserving and updating the memories of Snake Eater rather than presenting its own dramatically altered version of it. Despite Hideo Kojima's messy divorce from Konami, Delta doesn't shy away from his name and direction. His credit appears numerous times before Naked Snake completes the world's first Halo jump. Yoji Shinakawa's character art shows up in character vignettes and establishing cutscenes. It's clear from the opening minutes that there is a reverence for the original work that hasn't been evident in other post-Kojima projects like the baffling Metal Gear Survive and the Bare Bones Master Collection. Every cutscene feels indiscernible from the original games, barring the dramatically improved visuals and occasional stock footage that has been replaced for copyright reasons. Even little details like holding R1 to look through Snake's eyes are perfectly replicated down to the timing of the button prompts. Once you gain control of Snake, which takes a while, this is a Metal Gear game after all, numerous welcome gameplay updates become apparent. The older MGS games always had inventory and weapon selection relegated to the trigger buttons. But by utilizing left and right on the D-pad, Delta's modernized controls share more in common with Metal Gear Solid 5. A handy update allows you to swap your camo on the fly by holding up on the D-pad to quickly access the camo menu. Holding down, meanwhile, gives you a quick access to your codec contacts. Your health, stamina, and camo index are now displayed in the lower middle of the screen rather than the upper corners. One of the touted gameplay features of the original game was its CQC, Close Quarters Combat System. It allowed for a lot more than just snapping the necks of guards. You can interrogate them, slit their throats, toss them to the ground, or use them as a human shield. While it allowed for more variety, it was easy to perform unintended actions thanks to specific required inputs and the utilization of the PS2's pressure-sensitive face buttons. The amount of times you judo throw somebody you didn't mean to do it. God damn. You'll no longer need to whip out a manual, do a Google search, or call the boss to remind you of the basics of CQC thanks to Delta's useful tooltip system. Just grab a hold of an enemy with the right trigger, and all your options will be handily laid out on screen for you.
Wow.
The system will also remind you of Snake's potential actions in various combat scenarios. As I dangled off a bridge to avoid detection, I forgot that Snake could aim and shoot with one hand. Thanks to the tooltip, I pulled out my tranquilizer pistol and neutralized the approaching guard before he had a chance to discover me. While Snake always had these abilities, the quality of life updates in Delta reminded me of them, and I wound up using them more as a result. With modern action games eschewing frequent load times, it's natural to wonder if Delta's gameplay zones would remain cordoned off into their own sections, or if they'd be stitched together into a larger, continuous world. As is the case with most aspects of this remake, the developers have chosen to remain true to the flow of the original. You won't encounter any real load times when moving between areas, but the screen still fades to black and comes back in displaying the name of the new area just like the original. This adherence to the experience of the original applies in most aspects of the gameplay. It's not like this is suddenly Breath of the Wild and Snake can climb every tree and scale rock faces. He's still limited to climbing the same ivy-covered trees that were in the 2004 game.
This sounds amazing, right?
Music to my ears.
This sounds like exactly what we would want from something like this, especially without Kojima completely involved or at all involved, right? So
Yep.
I'm very excited about this. We've said this many, many times. Metal Gear Solid 3 is not my favorite of the Metal Gear Solid games, and I think a lot of that had to do
Peace
with
Walker.
the fact that there's Peace Walker. No, just with I've always been more of a Solid Snake fan than a Big Boss fan.
Me too.
I like a bit more like the 2005 on storyline as opposed to going to the past. And also the stealth parts of Metal Gear, not my favorite parts of the game, which I know is a silly thing to say, but
Stealth
like
espionage adventure.
yeah, exactly. But I am a bit more of a fuck it, we're blowing it all up type of guy.
yeah.
And the amount of the camo and having to deal with the stealth in a much, much bigger way in 3, it just was a little overwhelming. And I loved the story. I stand by, I think Metal Gear Solid 3 is the tightest single story of any of the video games. And I don't think that that's a crazy thing to say. But
Peace Walker.
I do feel like a remake that is faithful to everything that actually made the game special gameplay-wise and cutscenes and voice acting and music and all of that, but just adding quality of life on top of that, that sounds like a recipe for success for me that I think can completely turn my thoughts around on the game from a game that I still love to being up there of like, oh man, now I can't decide which my favorite is. So this all sounds really, really good.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. You know, I think I saw somebody go through the chat earlier there being disappointed that they were still keeping the zones kind of thing and doing the fade. Again, this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. And I think the smartest way for them to do this is be like, yo, we know we're on hallowed ground. We know how good the first game was. We know that was Kojima's game. We are not trying to fuck that up. And it sounds like they get that. And the fact they're keeping his name in it and doing all that stuff, like, this is what you want to hear. And again, it really is just like, hey, it's got the controls of Metal Gear Solid 5. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Yep, totally. And also, you can play it the original way if you want.
Of course.
Which that's, I think, the right way to do these type of remakes. If they're going to be that true to what made it the original game, like, I loved having the options, because there's going to be people like us that want to play with the new controls, but there's going to be a lot of people that are traditional and they just want the game to look better. So this sounds great. Now here's the question. This game was previewed, right, at a London event surrounding Gamescom. That makes sense. We still don't have a release date.
Yeah.
They're saying release date coming sometime this year. Do we get it at TGS? That seems like a yes, right? Because it's either TGS or Game Awards, and I don't think it's going to be Game Awards, just given Kojima, Konami, Jeff. I truly believe that that's the type of stuff that, like, feels like a bit more of a beef that we're putting together than there actually would be.
Yeah.
But I think TGS, we get a release date.
But
if
I mean,
we do,
okay,
when is it?
But next year. Here's the thing, though. A lot of time has passed since Konami wouldn't allow Kojima to go to the Game Awards, and Jeff Keighley made a big stink about it during the thing, which I personally found offensive because it was about 10 minutes after my amazing speech, and so then everybody talked about that speech rather than my speech, which really pissed me off.
Yeah.
But that aside, I think enough time's passed.
Yeah.
I think, again, they're trying to pay reverence to Kojima here and showing that, right? What if Jeff does what he does best and brings people together? And so you get the Death Stranding 2 whatever thing with Kojima on stage, yada, yada, yada. And then Jeff tees him up, and Kojima gets to introduce the Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater trailer that then has the day that everybody flips the fuck.
I mean, I just got chills from you saying that. I don't see that happening. I feel
Jeff is a unifier.
He is a unifier. You're right. I don't know that Kojima would want to play that way. But I mean,
I agree.
This being a producer from Konami, like, we don't know their relationship. We don't, you know, there's so many elements at play here. But that would be awesome. I just think that it's too late. I feel like TGS is the time we get it. So
I saw someone earlier in the chat, and they would have to reconfirm in the chat that apparently Grub is saying or reporting that there's possibly a state of play next month. I can easily see it there as well. But I'm also with Greg. It's next year.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I don't think you try to get it out this year. I think it's too much happening right now. You're there.
It's too much happening next year, though. I'm still not.
Let's be another great.
It's next year.
You think it's further than?
Oh no.
You think it's this year?
I've been saying that, like, I think that there's a chance it's this year. I wouldn't bet my house on it, but, like, I think that I'm still 50-50 on this year or next year. The fact that they're previewing it this way, I think we're close. But close could be January, February, March. Like,
yeah.
But I think
that'd be the smartest move. I think get on the other side of it, put it out there. What was the one that just moved? We were talking about this last.
Avowed?
Yes, Avowed. Yes, Avowed is in the beginning of next year in February, right? I think that's such a smart move for Avowed. I think, again, this could be such another smart move of, like, old game, which it isn't, but huge game, and here it is. And, like, that first part of the year when people are still trying to get their wheels spinning and they're so excited for new shit, that could be awesome.
I just think that next year's starting to get crowded already. I feel like any argument I could make for why it doesn't make sense this year, I don't think it makes sense early next year.
You don't think early next year, like January, February, March, somewhere in next year?
I think they're starting to get a little packed.
Avowed's scared of them. They're not scared of Avowed. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. But like what I was about to say is, I think that Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, like, is one of those games that release date doesn't fully matter. Like, I feel like it's going to do what it's going to do no matter what. So I feel like it doesn't need to be scared of the Call of Duties or the Avoweds. It's kind of just going to come out and the fans are going to buy it. And I think
of course.
I mean, based on this preview, seems like it's going to be critically beloved. Like, that's exciting. So
hopefully,
I don't know. Like, I feel like this. Again, I'm not convinced it's this year, but I don't want to write it off quite yet, given the way this game is being talked about.
We ask for super chats, as we always do, to be part of the show. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames to super chat. And Jabber Art says, between Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill 2, it feels like Konami is about to make a change for the better. I, for one, am all in on both. I think the change has already happened. I think we've seen this, and I understand where you're going for. I agree with you. The change has already happened. To see them come back and try to treat their IP and the games the fans care about with reverence is great.
Have we seen this?
Huh?
Have we? Because you're saying we're already there. Like,
Well, I mean, the fact that they're already doing it and they both are doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
I'm jumping in that I don't think Silent Hill 2 looks great.
Well, but that's the thing that's interesting is like when they first showed it, it looked bad, but all the previews were raving about it, which is like, holy shit, they're raving about it. Me and Jared
I think
were talking
Silent Hill
about
is
this.
Silent Hill, so I think it's that kind of thing where people are looking again for that kind of experience.
Yeah, but Silent Hill 2 is like the one
I
for
know.
Silent Hill. So it's like when they were first showing it, it didn't look great. And
I
people are like, it's like, I don't know if Konami's back. I don't know if they're doing this thing right. And then the Master Collection Volume 1 for Metal Gear, kind of bare bones, didn't work that great. Weird frames per second, limiting on certain systems and all that. Like, I feel like we're not quite there yet. I don't think Konami's done, unless I'm missing something. I think
they're on the path to it, though, is what I'm saying.
I hope, but I feel like it's a little too early to call that even now.
Okay.
Because like this right now and like last week's the previews of Silent Hill 2 like being good, that made me go, this seems wrong. Not they're on the path
they're
to something.
talking about.
They're on the path to something right. Whereas this, I'm like, okay, we're getting there.
Yeah.
But what's the next step then?
The next step then is deciding what your path forward is. Where is it? Do you keep remastering games? Are we gonna, where are we leaning in terms of like the Resident Evil approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, are we making new ones? Or are we just remastering the old ones and remaking those? And I think you could keep doing that. And I think that would probably be the smartest way. I think let's get the Metal Gear Solid remake. Let's go full bore into it there. I bet they don't go backwards that far. I think they would probably go somewhere else in terms of Metal Gear Solid 3 isn't shot for shot, but it's the easiest of like, okay, cool, let's make this game, but make it look and play modernly, right?
Yeah.
Bwhereas Metal Gear Solid, I think, is
such a
shift from what it was to move it into that and not Twin Snakes it.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, them starting with Metal Gear Solid 3, like that is them starting with timeline order.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like they could potentially do
Walker
something
next.
there, but like that, I don't know if that's the move, right?
No, it's not.
So
Peace Walker next.
I'm excited though.
I think you knock this out of the park, and then you could think about making a new one. It'd be even better to go knock it out of the park with Metal Gear Solid 1.
I mean, that'd be my dream.
Yeah.
Please.
I mean, they could also go and just, what if they did Metal Gear?
I mean, that to me would be the ultimate, right? Is games that like I've tried to play a million times, but I've never actually fully played through Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2.
Yeah.
And that story is so fun, so interesting, so similar to the story of Metal Gear Solid 1. But when you think about it, the story of Metal Gear Solid 2, very similar to the story of Metal Gear Solid 1 by design.
Yeah.
I think that'd be super cool. And what we expected from Metal Gear 5, and we didn't get that. So that'd be very, very cool to see the actual interaction between Solid Snake and Big Boss. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Bobby Joe just says he's paying his birthday tax and can't wait for more Metal Gear Solid. Hope you all have a great day. We hope you have a great birthday, Bobby Joe. And yeah, I can't wait for more Metal Gear either if it's done right. Dan obviously calls out Survive and how embarrassing that was. I think enough time has passed, and if you treat it with reverence and you build from it or do whatever you want from a certain aspect, put the people who grew up loving Metal Gear on Metal Gear and let it go.
Yep.
And then a final one for Kuma says Metal Gear Solid 2 is greater than Peace Walker. I don't agree, but I love Metal Gear Solid 2, so you're not going to see me fighting about you. I'm not going to fight you over that. Don't worry about it. Okay. You agree with it? Mm-hmm. You're an idiot. You never even played Peace Walker. You never gave it a shot. You hated the PSP because it wasn't Nintendo. You don't even like portables. You're a monster. And then this is a joke one we'll get to later. So for now, we'll move on to story number 2. And that is the fact that Star Wars Outlaws reviews are up. I did a Metacritic check this morning when I was with Ben. So at 7:30 in the morning, the Metacritic was 77. I'm not sure if that has shifted or changed.
It is still the same, and OpenCritic is also a 77.
Thank you very much, Barrett. We go to IGN.com, where Tristan gave it a 7 out of 10. It's ironic that Kay's ship is called the Trailblazer, since there's actually not a whole lot of ideas in Star Wars Outlaws that haven't been done before in other action and open-world adventures. Instead, it's quite like the Millennium Falcon, a bucket of bolts held together with repurposed parts and prone to breaking down. But at its best, it's more than capable of jolting your pleasure centers into Star Wars fan hyperspace. A clever syndicate system brings real weight to almost every task you choose to undertake, some of which have creative quest designs that can often conjure up some genuinely stunning blindsides. Having a pal like Nyx at your side the entire time not only adds an extra dimension to Kay's fairly generic smuggler character, but also gives her an enhanced set of useful abilities. But even he can't quite make its stealth and combat feel any less rigid and repetitive. And the odds of avoiding that many glaring technical issues present at launch are 3,720 to 1. But you probably didn't want me to tell you the odds. Star Wars references. See what he's doing? Star Wars. Meanwhile, Jordan Midler gave it 3 out of 5 stars over at VGC. Star Wars Outlaws is a pulpy, Uncharted-style adventure that doesn't quite fulfill its potential. Kay and Nix lead a great cast through a well-paced, punchy story, but the game's reputation system and syndicate storyline in general feels undercooked. For pros, he listed Kay and Nix are excellent protagonists. Pre-rendered cutscenes are stunners, even if there aren't many. Great writing across the main narrative and side content. Exploring Tatooine is a joy. Cons, reputation system is underbaked. Side content is repetitive and doesn't offer great rewards, and consistent technical issues on the PS5. Meanwhile, Chris Tapsell at Eurogamer gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It speaks back to Outlaw's issues with stripping away the bulk of the Ubisoft formula and finding so little underneath. Or, more broadly, a general misunderstanding of what you ought to be stripping away here and why. The Ubisoft open world functions so well because of how this cluttered weaves itself together so intoxicatingly that you can't help but flow from one to the next, from looting to crafting to combat to gear to unlocking another area of the world and more. The heist flick works because of its characters, their complexity, obsession, and greed as much as it does the sheer fun of actually doing a heist. Star Wars Outlaws, by comparison, feels like it's blaggering it. Much as Kay can when regularly caught out by some far more worldly syndicate boss. The result is a series of quite painful comparisons. It lacks the branching, open stealth of an Arkham game, the systematic options of a Dishonored, or the incisive, relentlessly satisfying speed of picking enemies off in Assassin's Creed. It lacks the linear polish and charisma of Uncharted, lacks the animation flow to its yellow ledge platforming next to a horizon, or the sheer joy of taking platforming and making it into an actual game itself, as in Star Wars Jedi. And somewhat nightmarishingly for your Ubisoft Massive, it couldn't have known about this when committing to it at the time. Outlaws opts to tell a Star Wars heist story in a world after Andor, which has already done so with such sensitivity, humanity, and precision that Kay and Co's cameo-ridden non-event is unfortunately left feeling light years behind. A stinging indictment from Eurogamer.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't want to get too far into this on our thoughts because we're
like
about
30 minutes away from doing our own review here, all of us.
Yeah. But I will just say quickly, I am 6 hours into the game. And I also played about 4 hours for the preview event. And I could not agree more with everything being said here. Despite that, I really am enjoying my time with it, and I can't wait to keep playing. So I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I don't want them yet, Greg.
I'm not going to give you shit right now.
I want them on the GAMESCAST, but I'm not surprised by this. But yeah, I'll
tell you, I am.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
What way does that mean?
I don't know.
Where's the wind blowing?
I have no clue.
You'll find out here in a moment.
But because that's the thing, you got to be very high on this, very low on this. I imagine you're high, but I'm not sure. But I do think that this is an interesting game to talk about because I think that the reviews, as all over the place as these seem to be, like they're not really that far, but in video game reviews, getting a 2 out of 5 and getting a 7 out of 10, like that shows.
And there were a bunch of 8s from sites that aren't IGN.
Exactly. So like there is a bit of like, what are you looking for from this type of game? But it is clear that it is not. It is far from perfect, and I feel like even the people that really love it or want to love it, there's a lot of issues with the game, a lot of core problems with the game that either could or couldn't have been solved based on what the intent was for what they were trying to go for. Because I feel like a lot of the issues that I am having with the game all stem from clear choices. Like they wanted it to be this way, and I just don't know personally that it panned out, but to others they might like it. So I don't know. There's something here that I do feel that the Andor comparison, I think, is very apt because they're right. Andor is peak Star Wars. Like that is adult Star Wars. That is a heist done right. Heists done right in ways that I never believed we would actually get from a Star Wars property. In this, it is heist the way you'd expect from a Star Wars property. I don't know that that's a bad thing, though. And I don't know that these reviews are bad. Like, these reviews are kind of just like, hey, yeah, like, if you like Star Wars, you might like this game. You're probably going to like this game.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, if you're like, oh, man, I'm let down with these scores, maybe don't be. If you're a Star Wars fan, I do think that there's still reason to be very excited for this game.
I'm not going to tell you anything.
Yeah.
But even as you say that as a Star Wars fan, I imagine that Barrett feels the same way I felt this morning when I did the Gregway about liking video game reviews of right now, I feel like Darth Maul at the end of episode 1 and they've closed the barrier. and I'm walking back and forth, like, just let me
Yeah,
out there.
sweat it
I
out.
have
Just
so,
wait.
I have so
love it.
much to say.
I'm so excited to talk about this.
I can't wait.
Let me go. Gamescast is next, ladies and gentlemen, and NBs, of course. Get it later as a podcast. Get it live on Twitch and YouTube. Watch it later on YouTube and all that jazz. I'm enjoying seeing the chat debate what I'll be. I saw the one where like, Greg loves these kind of games. It's gonna be a 9 out of 10. I'm like, let's see where I end up.
I'm so interested.
If you want to see where I end up with no ads, let me tell you about the Kind of Funny membership. With the Kind of Funny membership, of course, you'd be supporting our small, independent, 11-person business where we talk about video games in this amazing studio. But you'd also get all of our shows ad-free, the ability to watch the podcast live as we record them, like Honeymoon Adventures this afternoon, and of course, the Gregway each and every day. But I digress. Here's an ad telling you even more about it. If you've enjoyed the content we've made so far in 2024, we're asking you to pick up a Kinda Funny membership on patreon.com/kindafunny or youtube.com/kindafunnygames to say thanks as part of August's Kinda Funny membership drive. That 10 spot would get you access to more than 130 exclusive episodes of content. And to give you a taste, we're posting one of the exclusive Gregways just like this each and every Saturday and Sunday in August. On top of that, make sure you join us for weekly public happy hours where we take Patreon member calls live for everyone as previews of what a Kinda Funny membership gets you each and every month. Number 3 on the rover. The whole reason I updated the fucking computers, I thought that was the reason I couldn't airdrop my stupid fucking videos over here. Now I'm going to restart the phone. Hope
If you
that
saw
does
the beginning of the episode and Greg's holding the papers, it's because he hit reset on his MacBook 2 minutes before we go live, and it's like, we're fucked.
Number 3 on the roper report. Nintendo Direct is incoming. It's coming in hot. This is Adam Bankhurst over at IGN.com. Nintendo has announced both.
Get your conspiracy hat ready, Greg, because I'm about to go off.
Tomorrow, Shadow Drop, Silk Song. Nintendo has announced both a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase and an Indie World Showcase tomorrow, August 27th at 7 a.m. Pacific. Good Lord. The Indie World Showcase will kick off the back-to-back presentations and will be followed by the Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. While Nintendo didn't share which games will be featured, it did confirm the live stream of both will last, quote, roughly 40 minutes in total, end quote. Furthermore, Nintendo also stated that, quote, there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during either of these presentations, end quote. The last Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase took place in February 2024 and highlighted games from Nintendo's publishing and development partners. Some of the highlights included Disney Epic Mickey Rebrushed, Grounded, and Pentiment as the first Xbox first-party games to come to Switch, Super Monkey Ball, Banana Rumble, Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection, and much more. The last Indie World Showcase aired in April 2024 and featured such titles as SteamWorld Heist 2, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Europa, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Splintered Fate, Animal Well, Another Crab's Treasure, and more. As for the successor to the Nintendo Switch, Nintendo itself has signaled that fans shouldn't expect it before April 2025. Tim, put on your conspiracy hat and let her rip.
So here's the thing. First off, Nintendo's never done this before, combining two of its different showcase kind of buckets, right? They have their Nintendo Directs, they have Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase, and the Indie World at this point. Those are their 3 different brands. Sometimes Nintendo Direct will just showcase one game, but oftentimes it'll showcase a whole bunch of different ones. But I'd put that as a sub-brand of the Nintendo Direct. But them combining two, very curious.
Back
very
to back, baby.
interesting, right? Back to back. And it's like, why would they do that? Especially, here's where the conspiracy comes in.
Here it is, conspiracy.
All right. So the Indie World's very inconsistent in terms of when they happen. It's not like clockwork of every year you're going to get them at this date, this date, this date. GDC, you're going to get one around there. They always do that, right?
Got it.
Nintendo, GDC, Indies, best friends. Have been for almost a decade now. Indie World was called something different back then. Nindies, remember that?
I do remember that.
But
That's a cuter name.
They always like to be around GDC. But otherwise, sometimes they're in March, sometimes, or not March, sometimes they're in like April, sometimes November, sometimes September. It could be all over the place. But like clockwork, Greg, every year, there's a Nintendo Direct in September. Why are they moving? Why are they combining these? Why are they putting them together in August?
To talk about Switch 2
Is it
next.
to open up September for a Switch successor to be discussed?
We're going to talk about that Zelda game and the Switch successor.
I doubt that. But I mean, I think the Zelda game comes out mid-September.
Gotcha.
So that means I think that if they might mention it tomorrow in the partner showcase, but I doubt that. They've done that before, talked about first-party games in it. But We're close enough to that Zelda game that I don't think there's much more to say. I think that's you put out some tweets.
You're either into it or you're not into it. That's all we got.
They put out that like gameplay breakdown right before I left like a week or two ago. That was like a 6-minute video, Barrett, something like that. Like, it was substantial. That to me feels like that's their big marketing.
That was their push for it.
Preview bit or whatever it was. And also there's other events coming up that they can at least talk around that game and get people like hands on with it, like different in-person events. So I don't think we necessarily need a direct focusing on that Zelda, but that leaves September open. Now, going back to my theories from before of Switch 1 announced in October with that commercial, we get the breakdown, the full, here it is, here's the games in January, system comes out in March, right? I was like, that's what's going to happen for the Switch too. But then there's all that talk of like, okay, it's going to be post the fiscal quarter, so it'll have to be April and beyond. So that made me go, maybe not October. So my conspiracy theory here does not add up to that because that's like making it an even longer wait.
Sure.
Having said that, this isn't the Switch 1. The Switch 2, I think, as much of an open secret as it's been and how hard Nintendo wants to keep the momentum going and keep the hype going, I wouldn't be surprised because we've talked about the Horsemen for a long time at this point when it comes to the Switch releases of how many more do they have in the chamber. And it does not seem. We're getting a brand new Zelda game. Like, we cannot have that many more Switch releases. We have a release date. They called their fucking shot with Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, a remake of a Wii game, Greg, coming in January. It's wild we got a release date, not a release month, but an actual date for a game coming next year from Nintendo this early, right? I think that their plan is set. I still think we'll get the Zelda ports at some point, but I think that their plan is set. And with that, I think they want to start talking about the newer games. And so, am I like hyping myself up into disappointment?
You are.
Possibly.
1,000% you are.
Yeah?
But I appreciate it.
Why?
Oh, because it just happens all the time. What you said makes too much sense and is too cool.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't think there's anything wrong with your argument.
Yeah.
I don't think I can see where you're making your argument. I'm just expecting no Silk Song tomorrow.
Oh, I'm not saying Silk Song.
I know.
Oh.
No, but this is I'm sorry.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm making the reference that this comes around. We all
Gotcha.
say these crazy things and we don't get them, and then you're disappointed by it or whatever.
We could get Silk Song tomorrow, though.
See, I mean, you could. I know.
We're going to get it at some point.
Everyone should keep saying it because at one point we will be right.
Yeah.
And then Roger can make the little video of me saying yesterday, Silk Song's coming in today. Yeah.
I do not expect it, but I just want to say, I want it on record that I can say with 100% certainty that it's not 100% sure that Hollow Knight will not be there tomorrow. Like, people act like there's no chance. There's 100% a chance. It's just very unlikely.
You're saying there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance, but I don't expect it. But when it comes to the Switch 2 stuff, I do think that the September is too early, but I think that this is weird. Them combining and them, like, the way that they're doing this, it feels like there's a pointed reason from Nintendo. From how we see Nintendo make decisions, it feels like they're trying to open September up a little bit. But I don't know.
I love that. I think you make a good point of this isn't Switch 1. It's Switch 2. Let's just get out. Let's talk about it. You know what it's going to be. Let's go. Same with this PlayStation 5 Pro. Let's just fucking go. Tell me about it. What's up?
Yeah.
But
because, again, we have so many release dates for Nintendo games like lined up. And the big question marks right now, there's Metroid Prime 4, which is officially real. We saw the gameplay. That's crazy, Greg. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
It was just a few short months ago. Metroid Prime 4, real. So we have that. We have Pokemon Za. They're not going to talk about that. That's going to be a Pokemon Presents situation. But, like, we're just running out of runway. So we're got to hear about this thing at some point. I think September might be early, but
I love it. I hope it's right.
Let's talk about it being right for a second.
Okay.
If they did go September and the system doesn't come out till April,
that's long.
That's a long time.
Really long time.
That might be too long.
Yeah. That would be my one plot hole in your pitch, where I just feel like that's too much time to let people spin up on it. Yeah. And again, I'm with you of like, it's the Switch 2, and maybe we're underselling it. You know, Nintendo loves weird Nintendo decisions.
Yeah.
So I could easily see them really fucking being crazier and doing something we don't expect. So they do need to explain what the Switch 2 is in a way they shouldn't have to. And at that point, what are you doing with it? Where are you going? I think it's too long. I think, I think you do, if it's April, a January thing again, get through the end of the year, get through it. Maybe you win it. Maybe if you wanted to be like hip, put it on Game Awards, something, even if it's just like the outline and we'll see you in January or something like that. But they won't do that. That's not Nintendo. They will not do that.
Okay, so there are a couple interesting things there. So Game Awards, Nintendo used to have a better relationship, seem to have kind of like in recent years not had as much stuff.
All because Reggie.
When you think about it, like, I mean, perhaps it was, but like,
Doug Bowser
obviously
hates Jeff.
There's Tropical Freeze, Funky Mode. Like that aside, like we got the Joker in Smash Brothers.
Never forget.
We got multiple Breath of the Wild showcases, right? And like that was like at that point in time the biggest thing you can possibly get. So I feel like I don't want to write it out, but I also know that Nintendo Switch announcements like one of the most viewed videos of in not Nintendo history, in video game history. So Nintendo can just put out another creepy picture of Mario coming out behind a curtain. Remember that shit?
I remember. Yeah. Oh, how can we forget?
How can we forget? And then bring
they don't make them
the
like
couch
that
out
anymore,
again.
folks.
You know, remember the couch?
Yeah, that was bad.
Never
Though. I
forget
don't
the
want to
fucking
remember
couch.
the couch.
I don't
need
want the
that
fucking
couch
couch.
back.
No. Anyways, I'm excited. I'm all hyped up. There he is.
There he is. You never know what he's going to have up his sleeve. We are debating our plans right now for this, everybody. So stay tuned for that. We don't have a concrete answer for you yet because people are still coming into work. Things are still happening.
The plans of us live reacting tomorrow. He's referring to.
Of course, yes. Not for us going behind the curtain with Mario. I don't think I was. Don't worry about that. Number 4 on the Roper Report. We have a big surprise for you. Amazon Games CEO has put his foot in his mouth. This is Dustin Bailey at Games Radar Plus.
Wow.
Are you aware?
Games
Radar Plus. They changed their name a decade ago and nobody knew until Jordan Midler told us last week.
Whoa. It's not like a subscription service?
Nope. A decade ago, Tim.
What?
And Jordan Midler's the only. You might have jumped universes with me because this wasn't where it was in mine originally.
Oh, I don't like that.
Having a real coherence thing. Maybe you're not my original Tim, but you're in a new universe with me.
Oh man.
Anyways, I digress. As SAG-AFTRA members strike against some of the biggest video game makers in the world in an effort to secure better protections against AI, the head of Amazon Games is still pretty sure bringing artificial intelligence into game development is still a good idea, in part because, quote, for games, we don't really have acting, end quote. Amazon Games CEO Christoph Hartmann told IGN that he hoped AI can speed up the development process, which can take, quote, like 5 years per game, end quote.
Like 5 years per game.
Among AAA studios, leaving those developers constantly trailing behind the current zeitgeist. Hartmann
Posited.
Posited. Thank you very much. I've never seen that spelled out before. Obviously, it makes sense, but I'm an idiot. Hartmann posited that, quote, hopefully AI will help us to streamline processes so hard done work will go fast. Ideally, we can get it down to 3 years so we can iterate more, which will then bring the budgets down a little bit, end quote. Hartmann was then asked about his thoughts on the current AI-focused SAG-AFTRA strike in the video game industry. Quote, I mean, I gotta be careful.
What else now?
I gotta be nothing careful. Like say, hey, hold up, I gotta be careful, and then you immediately fuck it up. I mean, I gotta be careful with I gotta be careful what is here because we are a big company and have to deal with all those organizations.
You have to deal with all those fuckers.
So I don't really
deal with all these fucking assholes that want to get paid correctly.
So I don't really want to get in the middle of it. So I don't really want to get in the middle of it.
This dude.
But he was out. He was done. He was free. But when we talk about AI, first of all, hopefully it will help us have new gameplay ideas.
Oh, AI is going to give us the ideas now. That's what it is. Okay.
Which has nothing to do with taking work away from anybody. AI coming up with the idea of the video game doesn't take a work away from the developers who also right now are coming up with the ideas of the video game. That's not what it would be. Don't worry about it. And especially for games, we don't really have acting. The majority of the team sits in programming. Sits in programming, and that's not going to go away because that's all about innovation. If it takes something, it will be really the boring parts, end quote.
The majority of the
acting is the boring part to this guy.
The majority of the team sits in programming. Sounds like when I'm like, I'm not a scientist, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, this is back to the writer, Dustin. Thank you very much. I probably don't need to tell you that video games, especially AAA games, do indeed have acting, including full-on performance capture that brings to life the beloved characters of everything from Last of Us to Baldur's Gate 3. The latter game in particular has offered a stunning example of a cast embraced by the community and is now inseparable from the RPG itself. Heck, heck, add Tomb Raider to the mix, which is a series Hartman also gave an update on as part of the interview. Even New World, Amazon's biggest internally developed game to date, has quite a cast. Take a look at the credits for the MMO, which feature around 200 distinct voice roles, each of which is performed by up to 8 different actors, accounting for the game's various localizations. Some actors perform multiple roles, but a bit of very rough math would suggest, across all of its various localizations, New World employed hundreds upon hundreds of actors.
This just kind of solidifies the take that I have for people who are obsessed with AI, that like don't see art for art and just purely see it as a product, right? Yeah. Like his quote of like, we don't really have actors. Most of our team are what was the word he used?
In the programming.
Yeah, programming, because this is a product. This isn't art. This isn't something that we use to express, emotion. There's no acting.
Well, are video games art, Barrett? I raised that question.
Yes.
I mean, Roger Ebert said once. No. Yeah, you're not wrong, Barrett. You're not wrong at all. And it's like,
and these people fucking make these decisions, and they run this industry.
That's where it gets like upsetting the most, I think. Where it's like you can step back and be like, okay, I understand. First off, if we want to take all of the venom out of our statements and everything else here, I kind of understand what he's trying to say stick with me, everybody, from the idea that like, oh, well, video games, the acting part of it, and this is me giving too much credit to him, but like the acting and that's like 10% of the work, where for years you have people every day at a desk working on a video game. Then you bring these people and they do this. They're not the main. If you looked at the pie chart of people we employ on a project in time spent, like there's all these things but it's the idea that like to be so fucking disconnected from the video game industry and say this with a straight fucking face and not think you're fucking up.
Oh yeah.
And not immediately backpedal like, well, hold on, what I mean, and like you can sit there like, oh, of course, he's a fucking suit. But he's a suit who's the Amazon game CEO.
Who just acquired the Tomb Raider game,
He's
right?
the suit who's at the top of, he has bosses, but he's the top of the Amazon games part.
Yeah.
As you get ready for New World Eternum, a game I'm fucking super stoked about. It's like,
it's not good.
In Tomb Raider,
it's not good when we're talking about a group that has so much power and so much money to be able to fund video games in a time where games need funding, right?
Yeah.
Big, small IP that are known, new IP, everything in between. And yeah, for these statements to be made, it's so tone deaf, and it's an issue. It's a problematic issue that you look at and you're like, okay, we see where this is going to end up, and it's not good. It's way more layoffs. It's way less quality games.
Yep.
I do not, way more cancelizations of games.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And so it's just that thing in an industry right now that's struggling so much with like AI and art and money and profit and all this mixed up. For this tone deaf statement in the middle of this is rough. Looking at Christoph's LinkedIn profile, however, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but Amazon Games Vice President, this hasn't been updated to being CEO. It says 6 years, and then he was a president and co-founder of 2K. So this guy should know better by a long stretch. But again, to Barrett's point, you're right on the money of just like, it's back to, I'm going to continue to beating this drum, but like reading Schreier's new book, Play Nice, available in October, everybody pre-order it, and listening to how Bobby Kotick talked about games and how he talked about Blizzard and how he talked about all this. Like, it's dollar signs, it's stock prices, it's all this stuff. It's not the fact of like, not understanding in the middle of a fucking and that's the thing, he understands. I gotta be careful with what I say here. You know what I mean? Yeah. I gotta be careful with what I say. People. But fuck actors. We don't need them. We don't fucking need them. I got AI.
God.
Let's have a palate cleanser for story number 5. It's Fede Alvarez.
Fede Alvarez.
Fede Alvarez, friend of the show, put up a tweet that we thought was funny, so I wanted to toss out here. Of course, Fede just made Alien Romulus, right? Mm-hmm. The tweet reads like this. Fun fact, I was playing The Last of Us Part 2 while writing Alien Romulus. The story of a pregnant Dina made me think of having the character of Kay be pregnant too. Then I cast Isabel Merced to play Kay. A year later, she gets cast to play Dina on the HBO show. True story.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome.
Love that.
Do you know what else we know her from? Madam Web, that's right.
I was going to say, if I look at her, I do know. Yeah. I do know her from something. Yeah.
Never forget.
It's cool that you saw Romulus, right?
No, not yet.
Okay, you were. No. I can't remember how that. I can't wait to see this fucking movie.
I know.
I love it.
It looks fun. Everything I'm hearing, I'm like, ooh.
And I didn't realize in the build up too that Fede was on it,
which is really exciting because I love Don't Breathe.
Yeah, of course.
And like the Don't Breathe and Alien, a type
Evil
of
Dead.
scare.
You ever do?
I never saw Evil Dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember, that's where we met him. That's where we fell in love with him. That's where I bought him Nashville.
Mhm.
No big deal. Tim.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Alien Romulus when it comes to streaming services because I refuse to leave my house and I have a baby. Let me tell you, I watch Longlegs and I just paid the fucking full money for it. I was like, here's the money. It's coming to streaming eventually. I don't give a shit. Here's the money, Nicolas Cage. And I didn't regret it. And that's how it should be. Theaters go away. But I digress.
Hate you.
I digress, Tim.
You sound like the Amazon guy. Don't do that. Oh my God. There was such a sound to it when the lips hit the tongue.
I digress.
Mm-hmm.
My tongue's big news.
It's
if
big.
I wanted
It's
tiny
big
news,
tongue.
where would I go?
You go to our last story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items that you need to know about.
Movies, they don't have acting. I like that. How's it going? Everyone chill out. You know, I'm joking about that movie thing. I'm never joking about the PC gamer thing, though. Number 6, your Wii News. The jig is up. I go to Wario64, who reports that Valve has officially announced Deadlock. Valve has announced a new Deadlock for the first... Valve announced its completely new title. It's just weirdly worded. Deadlock for the first time.
They're making a joke.
Yeah, I know. Quote, and from that Steam page, quote, Deadlock is still in early development stages with lots of temporary art and experimental gameplay. So feel free to stream away, escape out of the NDA. It doesn't matter.
Greg, you fucking prepped this show. You prepped this Games Daily. You wrote down everything. You typed it all up for me to sit here with you. And you put these next 2 stories in Wii News. The disgoddamn respect. You kidding me? This should have been headline number 1.
No, we shouldn't. We have way bigger stories today. Liam Robinson. I don't. Why can't I speak? And here's the. You want to really know what's up?
What's up?
I'm so fucking ready to review Star Wars Outlaws. It's all I want to do.
I get it.
And I gotta fucking be
I'm
here
not gonna
talking
let
about
you.
Sonic 3's fucking trailer.
Well, first we're talking about Crash Goddamn Bandicoot 5. Liam Robertson, who does amazing work.
Why won't you send the Star Wars Outlaw videos phone?
Liam Robertson is a gaming historian, does excellent work, deep dives into canceled projects and a whole bunch of other stuff, but has a real kind of when it comes to Crash Bandicoot insider stuff. So always reporting on things, and this is a fantastic, like hour-plus long deep dive video. I've been working my way through.
You've been busy. Yeah.
The reception. I was trying to get it on the airplane. It was hard. I'd have to watch like a minute and a half, and then it would like stop, and it was driving me fucking crazy. Anyways, it's great. You should check it out. Because it's like actual journalism into this shit. But the rumors were Crash Bandicoot 5 being worked on, and until it got canceled by Activision, which freaking sucks. Canceled because they're like, oh, we're not seeing the returns we need from these big single-player games.
Yeah.
They're saying Crash 4 didn't live up to sales expectations. And that is another example of what the fuck are you talking about? It sold incredibly well. Just like we're talking about all the Square games, where it's like, Square, maybe your expectations should be changed.
Yeah.
Because these games are selling very freaking well. So yeah, no Crash 5, no Tony Hawk sequel. This is just nonsense after nonsense. And what was Crash 5 going to be, Greg? At least to some extent, a collaboration between Crash and Spyro.
I heard about that.
God damn. Bringing back all the villains from all the old games. They have to face off. Come the fuck on.
Like, it broke my heart to see this.
Hard to believe nobody wanted to fund this piece of shit nobody would care about.
I hate you
God,
so fucking much, man.
Crash 4 was so fucking good.
So good.
And to think about if that team got to build off of that.
With Spyro. Man.
Think about it instead. They just would have done what they should have done and made Call of Duty maps.
You're such an asshole. Why did I want to be back? Why the fuck did I want to be back? What's up, dude?
You're a glutton for punishment.
Jesus.
Tim.
We're on to the next one. No.
You looked right at it. Nick, you looked right at it.
I went into that shit. No. Why did I need this in my life?
Welcome back. We're happy to have you.
Lordy Lord.
And then the final story of Wii News is that there is a Sonic 3 trailer dropping tomorrow.
Shadow is taking over the goddamn world. Look at this. There he is in Tokyo. Scroll down, Barrett. Scroll down more. We're going worldwide, baby.
Scroll down.
He's
Tokyo.
in Frankfurt, okay? He's fucking in New York City. He's all over
fucking
New York
everywhere,
City.
I'll tell you right.
He's all over, baby. Shadow. He's coming. He's coming hard, and he's coming tomorrow. We've been waiting for this trailer. The
Let Shadow
anticipation through
Let Shadow
the roof.
come, everybody.
Let Shadow fucking come. He's in our city. He's in San Francisco right now at the Ferry Building, Greg.
You gotta get down there and Pokemon around him.
He is. The Pokemon Go Niantic office is in that building, guys. Shadow's there
it's
right
in
now.
Ferryville?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was around it.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's in it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Crazy
Is it next
stuff.
to the Goth's Burger? Is it next to the cheese
It
shop?
actually is really close to that. Yeah. Look, on the Trans-American Pyramid, we got robotic. What a time to be alive. But of course, and I'm just realizing this now. Tomorrow's going to be a crazy day. I am reacting to this trailer. I don't know how.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm doing it.
You have to.
I have to. I'm so mad at
I think
Roger
we'll
gone.
be here so early. We'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Probably.
We shouldn't do it live.
That's a good call.
Yeah, we don't
we'll
need
figure
Tim's
it out.
erection showing up on camera and us
That's true.
going,
We're
man.
gonna have to
You know what I
edit
mean?
that.
But
These
anyways,
Sonic sickos.
I'm so excited about this, and everyone else should be too.
Before we jump over to the one, the only, the Kind of Funny Gamescast review of Star Wars Outlaws, let's get you through these here super chats. There's a lot of them today. We appreciate you quite a bit. And remember, not every super chat's destined to be read. So, Mad Rocks, I don't know why you're talking about AEW right now. I appreciate it, but that wasn't about the gaming news today. Jokerman says, I'm glad to have you back, Tim. HG/SS is the best Pokemon, and that find was a steal.
Hell yeah. People with taste. Respect it.
Langley M. Neely says, oh, no, again, let's keep it to the news, all right? Langley's asking me about Starfield things.
This motherfucker just wants to talk about Outlaws so bad.
So bad.
Super chat about Outlaws.
And I haven't, here's the other thing. You know what? Now I'll save it.
Just say
Langley,
it.
here's
Just
what
say
you have a question about what I think of the Rev 8 rover. I've been lost in a galaxy far, far away for review. So I've been
different
working.
Starfield.
I've been working, so I have not been able to jump to that galaxy as I do. CJ wants to know if we think the Snake versus Monkeys will still be in the game for Snake Eater 3.
Yeah.
I think you have to.
I think
Snake Eater
so,
3.
yeah.
Jesus, Metal Gear Solid 3. Guitar Hero Arrow says, no mention of the Switch successor, but they didn't rule out a mention of the Switch predecessor. Hashtag Wii U supremacy.
That's already the Switch, right?
Yeah.
Seeing... Okay. Gerardo is cool. Seeing Metal Gear Solid 3 Silent Hill 2 get remake, what's the next Konami title that's due? Castlevania? Contra? A smaller Metal Gear like Portable Ops? Keep on keeping on.
Really interesting stuff here. I think that Contra has been done as much as they're ever going to do. Like, they're constantly putting out new Contras, remakes of Contras, like remasters of Contras, like all that stuff. I think Contra is where it will ever hit. Castlevania is the interesting one. I don't know what that could look like. I don't expect to get a remake of those games. Having said that, though, rumors for years, what's Blue Point working on? And when they put out all those little teases, Castlevania was one of them. Symphony of the Night in particular, which I can't imagine what that would look like, but I don't know. And then we already talked about it, but yeah, remake all the Metal Gears.
Yeah.
It's what we want.
Yeah.
What I want.
Yeah. Then Live to Die says, but Greg, how did these reviews of Star Wars Outlaws affect Ubisoft's stock price? I don't know. I haven't checked in today. God fucking damn it. Piece of shit stock. Don't even run the music. Don't even run the fucking music.
Don't even fucking
All
run
right,
the
it wasn't
music.
worth it. I bought it at $5.33. It only got up to $3.81 today. Stock market sucks. And then Joey Radstone gets the final one before we do the Gamescast. Star Wars Outlaws looks like it will be to Star Wars fans what Hogwarts Legacy was to Harry Potter fans. Nothing too deep, but a fun world to explore in an IP you love. An interesting take, Joey Radstone, because so many of these fucking insane Harry Potter fans were trying to say that was game of the year to start that year. And he's just saying it's a fun game. Come on now. Come on now, Stanley. What are we talking about over here? Everybody, this has been Kinda Funny Games Daily. But remember, we are Kinda Funny, an 11-person independent operation that's all about live talk shows, which means right now it finally is about to happen. Barrett and I will be unleashed on the world.
Star Wars Unleashed.
Tim is Darth Maul, and then I'm one blade on the lightsaber, and then Barrett's the other blade on the lightsaber, and we're going to cut up this Star Wars review and let you know what we think of Star Wars Outlaws. That's the Gamescast. Of course, you're watching live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames or youtube.com/kindafunnygames. You can watch live as we do it. If you want to watch later, youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Podcast services around the globe. No matter where you get the show, please like, subscribe, and share to get the most out of it and say, hey, you're doing a great job. If you love what we do, get that Kinda Funny membership. Of course, you get all the shows ad-free, the ability to watch us record the afternoon podcast like Honeymoon Adventures, an episode you won't want to miss of the Kinda Funny podcast this afternoon, I swear to you. And then, of course, you could get your Gregway each and every weekday. But for now, it's time to go do this Gamescast, which I'm very excited about. So until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.